Hey, I'm T.A. Charlie, and welcome to The Road to Concord with Professor Joe Bakanovic. Homeroom is on Rumble. You just go to Rumble and search the channels for The Road to Concord. It's one word. When you find it, you go ahead and you click follow. It might mean you got to set up an account, but it's fast, it's easy, it's free. I did it, you can do it. For those technologically challenged members of the class, you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. After the show, it's uploaded to Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and BitChute. Just look for The Road to Concord.
Are you giving me attitude?
Blog page, that's theroadtoconcord.com. That's where you'll find all your show notes, study notes, and handouts for the class. The phone is working. If you don't know how to call in, email us and we'll think about it. Finally, you can email a professor at joe@theroadtoconcord.com. He's a little slow, but he'll eventually get around to emailing you back. This show is currently mainly listener-sponsored. If you are interested in advertising your business on the show, please email us. With that said, we ask for your participation on a value-for-value basis. If you find our show of value to you, then you provide an equivalent portion of your labor and treasure through the donate link on the Road to Concord blog page, the show description on Rumble, and in the comments on the other streams. And thank you to all of you who have and will support this show.
Good morning. Welcome to the Road to Concord. It is Thursday, April 30th, 2026. I am your host, Joe Bakanovic. This is the co-host, Annie. Annie has a question for Natasha. Annie wants to know if you got your job done yet, Natasha. No? She hasn't finished it yet, Annie. Annie gives you the Schnauzer seal of disapproval. I don't know how many of you have ever had dogs like Schnauzers, with the beard and the furry, legs and everything. But we've got these weeds in the backyard that have seeds on them this time of year that look like little poppy seeds. And she deposits them everywhere she goes. They cling to her, come into the house, and then drop off. But yeah, I know you don't have to have their hair cut that way, but if you live in the country, you do, because most people don't realize that beard that they put on the Schnauzers and other types of terriers, it's actually a defense mechanism. They're bred to kill varmints and rodents, and it helps keep when they're attacking and killing the undesirable animals in the yard, like the rats and the mice and everything. It helps protect them from being bit by the other animals, because they'll bite the hair instead of their face. So anyhow, that's where that came from. Good morning. Welcome. Title of the show today: The left is threatening to open tyranny. We need to learn to honor the threat. I am going to start by throwing you right smack dab into the pew from the get-go. We're going to go right here. Book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 15. Bear with me. You'll understand when I get done by the time I'm done with all this. It says, "And the serpent hurled water like a river out of his mouth after the woman, so that he might cause her to be swept away with the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and drank up the river which the dragon had hurled out of its mouth. So the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her children who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Yeshua, Jesus Messiah." So what's this got to do with anything? The serpent. Well, if you understand the prophetic language, that's the devil. Hurled water, that's people. In the prophetic language, that's people. Hurled it out of his mouth after the woman. In this case, that woman is Israel. No, not the Jews. No, that's the house of Israel. If you understand the two houses, when you read the prophets, that's very clear. The house of Israel, which is not, it's the 10 lost tribes. So what's this got to do with anything? Well, what was the dragon's trying to do here is erase the house of Israel with a flood of non-believing people. Well, that's called the Great Replacement Theory, or according to Wikipedia, the Great Replacement Conspiracy Theory. The Great Replacement Conspiracy Theory, in a nutshell, is that a group of people, oligarchs or people, the deep state, the mysterious people in the charge of everything, are going to intentionally import more and more non-Americans into the American, into our country and give them rights to vote until such time as they take over and America is no longer America. You have replaced the American people with somebody else. Yo, McFly. Oh, wait a minute. Wikipedia, same thing. I repeat myself. This is not a theory. I can look at the world right now in the United States, in Europe, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, in New Zealand, and I can see that that's exactly what you're doing. And not only are you replacing them, you're replacing them with people who don't think or look like them. I wonder why. Because you're replacing the great Satan, right? The Judeo-Christian West. No, I'm not talking ethnicity here, although there is a connection. Do y'all remember this? I can't play it. We'll get gigged by YouTube, but this is, we are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Yay! He told you what he was going to do. He told all of us. Nobody paid attention. You just filled in what you wanted done and thought he was your man and he was going to do what you wanted him to do. Swing and a miss. He had told us what he planned to do. If you go back far enough in his world, he has told you what he plans to do. And he did it. He started importing Muslims and South Americans, but mostly Muslims. He continued doing it in his third term. What? Yeah, third term. Obama's term. You mean Biden? No, Biden. Biden or whatever. Biden wasn't running the show under his term. Biden wasn't even there. Y'all know it. He was not mentally there. All right, let's quit playing games with ourselves. Fundamentally transform. Well, this is the American Dictionary of the English Language, the Webster's Dictionary, 1828. Fundamental. Pertaining to the foundation or basis, serving for the foundation, hence essentially important as a fundamental truth or principle, a fundamental law, a fundamental sound or chord in the music. Fundamental noun, a heading or primary principle, rule, law, or article, which serves as the groundwork of a system, essential part as the fundamental of the Christian faith. What is the fundamental essence of the United States of America? The Declaration and the Constitution. The Constitution stands on the Declaration. The Declaration stands on the Bible. It is a Judeo-Christian nation, period. We were never, shut up. The Supreme Court ruled that this is a Christian nation years ago. That's called stare decisis for those of you progressives out there in the audience. It means you guys shut your mouth and go with what the court said beforehand. Of course, I understand you're a progressive. That rule only applies when your opponent is in power and you want them to stick with the rulings from your judicial masters who've usurped authority and power they don't have to make rulings that are unconstitutional so that you can change the fundamental nature of the country through the judiciary, exactly like Jefferson said you were going to do. But if somebody's going to actually rule on the Constitution and take back some of what you've stolen, well, then we don't have to care about stare decisis anymore. It's amazing how the left is so hypocritical. But Obama wasn't being hypocritical. He meant we're going to change the foundation of this country. Transformation. To change the form of, to change the shape or appearance, to metamorphosize as a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, or to change one's substance into another, to transmute. An alchemist sought to transform lead into gold. So basically, we were told from the beginning that Obama was going to transform the foundations of this nation. That was his goal. Nobody paid attention. I sure as heck did. I understood it. I've been reading about progressives for years, man. I knew exactly what he meant. I may not have known that he was going to import Muslims, but I knew that he was going to change the essence of what this country is and has always meant to, has been and was meant to be. And his wife, husband, I don't know, his whatever that is, because I really don't know. I don't know at this point in time. There's information out there that suggests that Michelle Obama's a real female person. There's information that looks like it might be Michael. I don't know. We can't know anymore. That's part of what he was doing. He was transforming the country into something that nobody knows what truth is anymore. But it said that Barack knows that we're going to have to change our history. Exactly how do you change history? You rewrite it. That doesn't mean change it. So you got to change the language in order to change the history. And we were going to have to change our traditions. In other words, we were going to have to become a different country, a different people. Folks, if you change a nation in that way without going through the legal process of amending or writing a new constitution and ratifying it, that's called a coup. And that is exactly what we've had happening here. It's an internal takeover of the country by people who hate it. And they have been telling us this for decades. They're still doing it and nobody's paying attention. Breitbart. I don't care about the dates and everything. This is all from the last week or so. Screaming Cory Booker dismisses help from God. He says, what we need now is not from on high. And yes, if you read through, I took the time to read through it. That's exactly what he said. Well, that shouldn't be a surprise. His party kicked God out of its platform under Obama and cheered when they did it. If you are a Democrat, do not tell me that you are a Christian. I don't believe you. If you are still voting Democrat, do not tell me you're a Christian, because you have willfully aligned yourself with a party that has openly rejected the Creator and has cheered about it and is now saying, we don't need him. We got ourselves. If you have aligned yourself with a political party like that, you are unequally yoked by choice. Ergo, you have chosen the world over Yahweh. And if you choose the world over God, over Yahweh, the Creator, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's God, if you choose the world over him, you have chosen Satan, the devil. Because even though he is bound, he is still Lord of this realm. The next one. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Cory Booker calls for foot soldiers to take to the streets to stand up against darkness in a bizarre rant. Folks, that foot soldiers is military language. Take to the streets and stand up. That's military. That's also biblical military language. Stand up means to act on the world stage. You know, when David stood up to go take on Goliath, whenever somebody or a nation or something like that stands up in the Bible, it's either political or military. It means you're going to act on the world stage. And what is the forces of darkness here? What's he talking about? Well, seeing how he has rejected God and is standing on the side of the devil, darkness here means God, the forces of the Judeo-Christian God. He is declaring war, at the very least, against Yahweh and Yahweh's people. That makes him of the devil. But he also wants a physical foot soldier army, just like Obama said he wanted. This is a call for civil war, sedition, revolution, overthrowing the system. And I do not want to hear those on the left talk about democracy again. You're liars. You are intentional, purposeful, knowing liars. I don't care what you think of Donald Trump. He was elected by the American people. So if you are going to try to subvert, overthrow, or destroy his presidency, you do not believe in democracy, which I know you don't. Democracy is just the vehicle by which you obtain power and establish tyranny. It always has been. It always will be. That's how forces of Satan destroy a republic. Are you working for them? If you're aligned with them politically, then yes, you are. You're working for them. You don't like it? Tough. It's the truth. Capital T, truth. Fire's hot, water's wet. That's the fruit of what you have chosen and what you are doing. January 6th was not an insurrection. Trump did not call for that. It was a false flag attack on this country to protect a stolen election. That's a coup. That's treason. We now know this is true. If you've paid attention to all of the investigations that have continued into January 6th, we now know this is true. And yet the lie continues, just like the Russia hoax lie continues. If you're aligned with the lies, you are of the father of lies. This is not the B. This is Champagne socialist Hassan Piker justifies murder of healthcare CEO during the New York Times interview. You're justifying murder? He's a leftist justifying murder. The left always justifies murder. They have no problem with it. Your father is a liar and a murderer from the beginning. If you are on the political left, at least be honest enough with yourself to admit it, embrace it, and wear it like a badge of honor. You are of the devil, according to the way the Bible looks at it. So you're not going to have any problem converting to Islam. I mean, Allah is the devil, so you'll have no problem with that. All of you LGBT warriors, better start learning how to fly. This guy's advocating the murder of the CEO because the CEO of this healthcare organization didn't just give people whatever they wanted. I'm sorry, I don't know how to describe all types of evil in this man. But it's not just him. 1 in 4 Democrats says that violence, real violence, even up to and including murder, is legitimate. It's a legitimate form of political expression. So violence and terrorism is legitimate in their eyes. Muhammad says, I succeed. I am successful with terrorism, with terror. I succeed through terror. It's one of his sayings. If you're on the American left, you succeed through terror. Well, there was a political party in Germany in the late 20s and early mid-30s. They've got a 4-letter initial that if I use it, I'll get banned. It starts with an N, ends with an I, and has the Arizona initials right in the middle. It was headed up by a short little sawed-off runt of a man with a bad haircut and mustache. They used terror to achieve their goals. And their political enemies, Antifa, did the same. And they're both doing the same today in this country. Because you see, it's always that constant, persistent, nagging minority that wins the day, especially if they cause chaos, lawlessness, violence. Because the quote-unquote normies will say, hey, whatever you want, just make it quick. I wish we were still the men that our founding fathers were, because we would start stretching necks. Breitbart, leftist superstar Hassan Piker justifies Luigi, whatever this guy's name was, the United Health CEO, guilty of social murder. Social murder? What the is that? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as social murder. So I guess it's okay to kill him because he's guilty of it. No trial. It's okay to kill Trump because he's a whatever they claim he is. So it's okay if they kill him without a trial. That's fine. Folks, I'm going to say this unequivocally without fear, hesitation, reservation. I am not wrong. The political left in the Western world is or is aligned with the beast of Revelation, the fourth beast. It is evil, incarnate. It is Antichrist. It is of the devil. It is anti-Yahweh, anti-law, anti-order. It is chaotic. It lies by its congenital. It's in their bloodstream. They lie. They don't know how to tell the truth from a lie. They're hypocrites. And they're murderers. And if you're on that side, yes, I'm calling you all of those things.
There are no good Nazis. Schindler was a Nazi, Joe. Schindler saved a lot of people. Wasn't good. Wasn't good. Might have done good. He wasn't good. Good man would have left the party. Well, then he wouldn't have been able to do these things. My moral compass says the light should have nothing to do with the darkness. Not even to use it. We need to start paying attention to what's happening in this country, because this man here is giving an excuse to those who are trying to assassinate their political rivals. The left always does this because their spiritual father is a liar and murderer from the beginning. And then some of these people, this guy who tried to kill Trump, claimed it in the name of Jesus Christ. I don't doubt him. I do. I believe. But it's a different Jesus and a different gospel, not the one of the Bible. What else do we have up here? Southern Poverty Law Center indictment bombshell. Charlottesville violence allegedly was a left-funded false flag. Allegedly? This information has been out there for a long time, folks. People like Glenn Beck, his investigation team, they've traced this. The Southern Poverty Law Center is a terrorist organization. It's set up to give the political left in the America a shield. It does their dirty work. But this is just fascism. And they're there to fight fascism, Joe. They don't understand what fascism is. Conservatives who suggest leftists were involved in the Unite the Right rally may be vindicated. Same thing with January 6th. That was the FBI set that up. Folks, the conspiracy theorists, right now they're conspiracy prophets because they're batting 1,000. They've been, in general terms, I still disagree with a few things like, well, the World Trade Center was a self-contained demolition. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But it was allowed to happen. They had everything they needed to stop it. So yeah, if you want to say it was allowed to happen, inside job in that way, I agree with you. I don't think it was demoed. Are they trying to change the weather, chemtrails and all this crap? No, I don't believe in chemtrails. I know a lot of you do. I don't. But that doesn't mean I don't think they're not doing things with the weather. They are. So you're right in general. But I think, my opinion, you're out there in the cheap seats up in the top of the stands in center field. You found the ballpark, but you're way off on how they're doing it. And my reasons for this with 9/11 and the chemtrails is based in engineering. If you had an engineering degree, you'd probably agree with me. Most engineers do. Not all. Got a few whack jobs in every profession. But most of the engineers who understand the engineering that would go into all of this stuff know that that's not how they're doing it. But you've been told for years about things like the Southern Poverty Law Center. We've done nothing about it. Gateway Pundit. DOJ indicts far-left Southern Poverty Law Center on 11 counts. The SPLC used donor money to pay the KKK to stage hate crimes. How many hate crimes have we heard about in the news where it was a white-on-black attack, and then we find out that it was the black person attacked themselves? Was it Jesse Smollett? Blamed MAGA people? And then he was let off. I followed that. He should be in jail. They eventually just let him go. No punishment for blaming other people for some. That one girl who claimed she was raped and blamed all the white boys in the Duke lacrosse team, turned out that she lied, ruined their lives. Last I heard, nothing ever happened to her. Can't sue her. She didn't have anything to take. Race has become a political weapon in this country. And they don't, the memes where the the Democratic Party is doing CPR on racism. You know, it's two people and it says, hey, don't die on me now. I need you for the next election. They've done that to the extent that I've got what's known as black fatigue. I just don't want to hear it anymore. Where I might have otherwise been sympathetic to that, I'm not anymore. Doesn't make me a racist. You can say it does. That makes, in my eyes, that makes you the racist, which makes me even all the more fatigued. If you cannot acknowledge my side of this equation and all you see is yours, well, when I look in the dictionary, that tells me you're the bigot, not me. Because I understand both sides. I do. I get it. And I'm glad that reparations were paid to the blacks. The ones that were alive at the time who were actually slaves. Yes, Lincoln paid those reparations, folks. He did. That's already been covered. So anybody who's demanding more, they're just thieves. They're just thieves using the government to do the stealing for them, which means they're cowards and thieves. And yeah, if you're a black American who believes in reparations and you think I just called you a cowardly thief, yes, I did. Now you're going to hate me. You're going to call me all sorts of names, report me and everything. Go for it. Truth is truth. Fire's hot, water's wet. If you're using somebody else to do your stealing, that makes you a coward. If you're looking to take from one person who did not commit a crime and give to you who did not suffer a harm or a loss, that's a theft. It's theft. Form and function. You don't like what I'm saying? Click the channel. Tune out. Go away. This ain't the place for you. Gateway Pundit. Watch. Comedian Margaret Cho says we need a feral, bloodthirsty, violent Democrat to punish Trump officials. Punish. That is not civil. That is not American. That is not law and order. That is not constitutional. That line right there, and she said that. That is an admission that she wants to take over the country, establish one-party rule, and then you're going to have a Democratic oligarch. You elect a tyrant. You're going to elect a dictator, a la Woodrow freaking Wilson. That's what they want. That is either fascism or communism, as it has always been practiced in this world. She wants tyranny in the name of democracy. Why is the left going so bloodthirsty, crazy, mad right now? Well, if the pit is open, then the dragon is raging because he knows he only has a little time left, and all his followers are going to be just as bloodthirsty, raging, mad as well. So when I see people like this, when I hear them like this, I'm like, there's one of Satan's minions. Yes. And you have to choose. Is Satan, is that the devil in the Bible? Or is that Yahweh? Because if you think Yahweh and the Judeo-Christian ethic is Satan, well, then you are of the devil. If you believe that you belong to Yahweh, the God of the Bible, Isaac, Abraham, Jacob, then the devil is the devil. But you better be careful. You better make sure you're one of the ones who actually belongs to Yahweh and hasn't created a new God and a new Jesus. Now, this here is Jonathan Turley. It's a blog page. He's a lawyer. F it. Just do it. James Carville lays out Democratic plan to add states and pack the court to retain power. He wants one-party rule in the name of democracy. That is not democracy. He doesn't care how to do it, by hook or by crook. He wants dictatorship. That is an open admission of what they plan to do. And I've already shown you people who say that they're going to do it violently. They're going to punish everybody in this administration they can get a hold of. I still don't trust him. I still think he's a weasel. But Dan Bongino just did an interview with Sean Hannity, in which he said, if the Republicans lose power, he expects the left to come after him for whatever excuse they trump up. He claims he didn't break any laws. He says they're coming after him anyway. Wah, couldn't have happened to a better guy, Dan. You should run your mouth about what you know, Dan, not just hint that you know of things that are going wrong and then not tell us what they are. Oh, well, it's classified and I'm no, you're not. If it's illegal, the classification does not apply. It's an unlawful order. You cannot be bound to silence over a violation of the law. Not legally, anyway. So if you're claiming to be with the law, Mr. Bongino, and you know of things that are illegal, you should be running your mouth right now to anybody and everybody that would listen. That's the only way you'll get your reputation back with me. I used to think Snowden was a traitor because Rush Limbaugh told me to, back when I was a ditto head. I've learned a lot more now. I think that he was one of the few patriots we've had in a long time, because all the information that I've understood that he dumped didn't hurt anybody but the deep state. It never put the nation at risk, as security wise, defense wise. It just harmed the deep state. I now think he's a true patriot. Trump ought to pardon him and let him come home. The left is telling us what they're going to do and how. After the break, I want to show you more of what they're telling you. And then I'm going to end this with a brighter note, sort of, kind of. So stay with me. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Charlie? All right, we're back. I want to just keep on going where we were going with all of this. Breitbart, Marlowe. Holder promises mass lawfare if Dems win midterms. Believe him. Lawfare means lawlessness. They're just going to abuse the law to put you in jail. By hook or by crook. Lawfare is just, this is the opposite of law. This is the opposite of law. This is Isaiah 5, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 in the flesh. They're just, this is what Breitbart, I mean, what Bongino was saying. They're just going to make things up and come after you. And don't think that will, they've also promised to come after anybody who supported Trump, all of MAGA, the same way. This Breitbart, California governor candidate Tom Steyer suggests ICE be put in jail. So he's going to jail ICE agents for doing their job. Why? Because ICE is stopping us from taking over the country with our flood of illegal aliens. I finished it for him. So I've got to put you in jail. Why? Because you're actually enforcing the law the way the Constitution wants it to be, which is keeping us from taking over the country and succeeding in our revolution. Joe, it doesn't say any of that. Doesn't it, though? This is the effect of what they're doing. And no, this is not democracy. What they're doing is not legal. The way they're doing it is not legal. That's what makes it illegal. Gateway Pundit says, disgusting. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz calls ICE agents armed lawless gangs conducting campaigns of organized brutality in State of the State address. And you wonder why the left is becoming violent? Their leaders are telling them that it's okay to kill these people because they're criminals. You can go kill ICE. They're lawless gangs. It's okay to kill CEOs of health organizations because they're committing social murder. It's okay to shoot Trump. He's a Nazi. The left is giving their people permission to do this. The left, the leadership of the left, knows that their people are whack-a-freaking-doodle. That's a technical legal term and psychological term for bat crap crazy, because they have been turned over to their depravity. They cannot tell truth from not truth anymore. They can't tell truth from lies. They don't know right from wrong. Now, I don't excuse them for this. They are spiritually insane, and the left knows it. And they know that if they run their mouths long enough, their people will go do what they want done. And their hands are clean. The poor, useful idiot that did the violent act is the one that's going to pay the price. Gateway Pundit. Go home and tell mom and dad to vote yes. Fairfax County teachers busted, turning students into Democrat activists to push radical redistricting, gerrymandering to stop Trump at all costs. Y'all understand what stop at all costs means? It means even if you have to die in the process, stop Trump. So all the conspiracy theorists have been telling us that the school system has been turned into nothing more than an indoctrination system for the political left are being vindicated everywhere they turn right now. In case you haven't noticed, the guy who tried to shoot Trump was Teacher of the Year. Have you been paying attention to how many teachers are going to jail for molesting their students lately? If you're watching the mainstream media, you're not seeing this. If you're watching decent news sources, not perfect, not great, but decent, the Blaze is really good about showing you every one they can find. There's one almost every day nowadays. Well, that's public education for you. The lowest of college test scores, at least when I was in school in 93 and 94, the lowest scores for college entrance were public education majors and journalists. And yet they think they're the smartest in the room. That's why they're in public education and journalism. And back then, in the early 90s, do you know what their number one reason for going into public education and journalism was? To change the world. That's not the mission of either of those two professions. One is to provide accurate news and information. The other is to teach people how to reason and think critically. Both of those groups of people admitted that they were there for political reasons. And that's why you want the dumb ones in that daggum. Sorry, if you're education major or teacher or whatever, Not all of you, but very few of you, buy and hold, it's not the respectable profession it used to be. It's corrupt. It's rotten from within. Blaze Media again. Maximum warfare. Democrats celebrate after Virginia decides to disenfranchise GOP voters. This was done intentionally, just to make sure that that's called gerrymandering. For real. Okay. So, whatever. Breitbart, Democrat House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries cautions Florida against redistricting after Virginia win. So Virginia redistricts, but then they turn around and tell Florida, you can't do the same thing that we're doing. Why? Well, because the left wants to be able to steal the election, seize power, and hold on to it. And if you're fighting back, oh, you be careful, because if we're ever in power again, we're going to punish you for doing the same things we're doing. Well, if it's wrong for Florida to do it, it was wrong for Virginia to do it. If it's right for Virginia to do it, it's right for Florida to do it. Well, who the heck then is this Hakeem Jeffries moron for telling Florida it can't do what his people just did in Virginia? Hello, serpent. Gateway Pundit. Tim Kaine openly admits why Democrats are really disenfranchising voters, like in Virginia. Well, when you go down and you read it, it's so they can establish one-party rule, so that they no longer have to compete for a vote to win an election. The party will just decide who's going to be the next person to hold a position. And now the party runs the country. That's called communism. If you believe in open borders, it's called fascism. If you believe in closed borders. The political left, the Democrats, believe in open borders. Ergo, commies, just like the conspiracy theorists have been telling you for decades. Gateway Pundit. Hakeem Jeffries remains defiant and calls for maximum warfare against the GOP. This is after the shooting attempt. He doubles down. Maximum warfare. Not political warfare, not legal warfare, warfare. And yes, that's what he calls. He wants a war. Just the News. John Solomon, who, when he realized he couldn't do journalism anymore in the mainstream media, left and went out on his own and has been successful ever since. One of my more trusted sources, not totally, but more trusted. Hate Incorporated, the rise of political violence and its consequences. This is on the left in this country. It's on the left in the Western world. It is not the right wing that does hate. I did not like Barack Obama. I did not like Joe Biden. I prayed for both of them. I prayed that Yahweh would open their eyes, turn their hearts around, and cause them to seek him and his will and his way. I prayed for their safety. I didn't want them assassinated. The left doesn't do that. We are not the same. The left pushes violence. Now, I have since lost my affection for him, but Glenn Beck, years ago, told everybody that this time, this period in our right now that we're living through was coming. He wasn't a prophet. He might think he is, but he's not. He just read the history books and read the tea leaves in this country. And he said, oh, this is coming. Well, it happened in the 70s too, when the same type of people were trying to do the same things that they're doing now. Now they're succeeding. They didn't succeed back then, but it's the same playbook. It's a communist playbook. It's a color revolution. And we don't mean color as in the LGBTQ, whatever. We mean color as in back in the 70s. Black power, man. Well, it's skin color revolution here too. I thought it was a bad thing when we ruled the country just based off the color of somebody's skin. I guess that doesn't apply to white people, that they're bad, but everybody else, it's good. Yeah. I know that I'm treading on dangerous ground with my language right now, but I don't care. This has got to be discussed. It's open season specifically on white Christians. That's who you're allowed to go after now. Tell me how that doesn't align with the Bible. And that, the passage we read when we first opened today. Gateway Pundit, Wayne Root, President Trump, you want to win the midterms? The time has come to declare a national security emergency for U.S. elections. Do it now. Don't wait another day. This is the checkmate. This is true. If we do not have show me your ID, vote on a paper ballot that has an ID of some sort on it, a serial number that we can at least verify. I don't care if you put the serial number with the voter. That's not important to me. But I want to be able to serialize them so I know that that's actually in a watermark, so I know that that's an actual official ballot. And we don't secure our elections, they will steal it again. Steal again. And it doesn't matter if you ever vote again after that. It won't matter. And remember, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It matters who counts the votes. That's how they stole the election in 2020, by who was counting them. You know, middle of the night, close everything up, chase everybody that's not a Democrat out, count the votes. Lo and behold, Biden won. How many people voted? 145,000. How many votes for Biden? 155,962,785,000. Well, that's more people than you have. Yeah, well, we got to count every ballot. Well, no, we don't. Oh, yeah, you do. You got to count every ballot. That's exactly what happened in at least 4 districts. And that's why Biden won the election. Overvoting that had to be counted. 100%. In several places, Philadelphia, 100%. Every ballot, Biden. That is impossible. Even in that area, that's impossible. We had proof of a vote fraud. Then you can't do anything about it. Pence was not going to object. He's not going to break the tie. He's not going to. That's because Pence was in on this. Trump's not going to do anything about this. He knows this. He was the one who had the election stolen from him. He's not going to do this. Why? That's a good question. Why? Break out old Occam's razor. The easiest answer for me is because he's part of this. What's happening is exactly what the deep state wants to happen. And he's part of the kabuki theater. You could draw a different conclusion. You're welcome to do so. So far, in the general terms, I'm batting 1,000 on what I've expected to happen. And this, what I'm suggesting right now, is perfectly in line with something I predicted back in 2012. So far, we're hitting all the benchmarks. I'm not a prophet. I just know history. Do you? I know history, and I do one other thing that most people refuse to do. I honor the threat. And by that, I mean when they tell me they're going to do something, I believe them. All right. Let's go here. Blaze Media. From the Blaze staff, April 25th. Glenn Beck drops 20 brutal proofs that Canada is no longer a free nation. It's a managed oligarchy with democratic trappings, which is exactly what happens to a republic. Here are the 10 points. In order to destroy a free republic, you have to destroy the rule of law. We've done that in the United States. You have to do away with free, fair, and regular elections. We've done that in the United States. You have to do away with the protection of individual rights. We've done that in the United States. We have to do away with the separation of powers. We've done that in the United States. We have to do away with an independent judiciary. We've done that in the United States. You have to do away with a free press and open information. We've done that in the United States. You have to do away with civilian control of the military. Boys and girls, we've done that in the United States. We have to do away with protections of minority rights. We've done that in the United States. We got to do away with economic freedom and property rights. We've done that in the United States. And a culture that values freedom. Well, that's what we imported. We got rid of the culture that values freedom. 10 of 10. Well, if that means Canada is not a free country and we've done the exact same thing here in the United States, how are we any different? Well, Joe, we haven't done all those things in this. Oh, yes, we have. I can show you the cases. We did it over 12 years ago. 15. Yeah, about 15 years ago. It's been done since then. Because this is part of the reason I was making the predictions I was making in 2012. Because we'd already clicked all of those check marks right there. The story here, Glenn telling Canada, that ain't nothing new. You ain't no prophet, Mr. Beck. Anybody who knows history knows that this was easy to see. This one here from Align Blaze Media says, Glenn Beck is right about Canada's descent into tyranny, and it began with attacking one basic freedom. This is David Crichton, April 29th. The freedom is freedom of the press. You haven't had a free press in this country in a long time. Gateway Pundit, a different country. Watch Johnny Carson open the 1981 Oscars after President Ronald Reagan was shot. This is worth your time. He prayed for Ronald Reagan. Johnny Carson, we don't know what his political leanings were. I don't, but I guarantee you it was probably more toward the left than the right. And the people at this show were leftists. But this was a different breed of leftists back then. When he prayed for Reagan's healing and said, hey, we're out of trouble. He's up. He's conducting business. Prayed for continued healing. The entire audience applauded enthusiastically. Hollywood. That would never happen today. Do not tell me that things were not better 50 years ago than they are today. I've said that several times lately, and I've had people say, well, you old geezers always say that. It's true. Excuse me, cough button. The reason I say it now is because it's true. This video, if you go find it, proof. It's proof. You go watch Johnny. Look at him. Just look at Johnny. There's a difference between him and the late night talking heads, Kimmel and Fallon or whatever. They even look different. They talk different. They conduct themselves differently. They're not the same anymore. The people doing Johnny's job now are soulless. They're dead inside. If Johnny Carson had acted like Kimmel does back in his day, in Johnny's day, he wouldn't have been on TV at all. Walter Cronkite, one of the most trusted men in the country while he was news broadcaster, he was a raging lefty, far left wing as it gets. But if all you knew of Walter Cronkite was watching his TV, the news, you'd have never known that. He was a professional. He did the job of a journalist, even though he was left wing. And I have no doubt he had some say in how things were edited and presented, but they weren't one-sided like they are now. He brought in the other side. I can remember watching Walter Cronkite. As a nation, we were a very different people. We're being reminded of what happens when a nation forgets God. This is from EWTN. It's a Global Catholic Television Network. Famous atheist Richard Dawkins says he considers himself a cultural Christian. What's he mean by that? If you read the article, he's like, I haven't become a Christian, but I'm looking at the world and I dang sure don't want to live under Islam. It's like I want to live under a Judeo-Christian ethic society, a culture, a Judeo-Christian culture. He's a cultural Christian. Tolerance, liberty, individual rights and freedom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even an atheist acknowledges he doesn't want to live under a socialist, a secular government. He didn't say that either. That's socialism in all its many rights. That gives you communist Russia, communist China, Pol Pot. He said he's a cultural Christian. That's where he wants to live. That's an admission that there is a superior culture in the world. It's those cultures that are modeled on the Judeo-Christian ethic. How many of them do we have left in this world? Marginally in Israel, very marginally. Europe's dead. The UK is all but dead. Dead man walking. Canada's dead. Australia's a dead man walking. New Zealand's a dead man walking. And the United States is a dead man walking. Nobody else is left. The lesser and greater Satan, also known as the House of Israel and the House of David. This is American Rhetoric on an online speech from April 3rd, 1965 by Paul Harvey. If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first, check. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers, with the wisdom of a serpent. I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. That's that licentious law in Christianity. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. Check. And to the old, I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. Check, check. And then I'd get organized. He says, I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. Aldous Huxley. Check. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves until each in its turn was consumed. Check. And with promises of higher ratings, I have mesmerized media fanning the flames. Mesmerizing media fan. Yep, check. We got that. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild until before they knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every school door. Check. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon, I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the House of Congress. This was 2 years before those things happened. Check. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. Check. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. Check. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet I couldn't get the whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich? Lotteries. Check. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, and in moral conduct. Check. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on the TV is the way to be. Check. And thus, I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into a bed with diseases for which there is no cure. Check. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. This is Paul Harvey. Good day. He's done it. So let me ask you something. Paul Harvey a prophet? No, I don't think so. Not the way we think of prophets. He wasn't predicting the future. So how did he hit this so dead on the nail? I mean, hit that nail right on the head. Paul Harvey did what our founding fathers did. He studied history, human nature. He looked around and he said, well, if this is the path we're going to follow, this is the inevitable result. The founding fathers designed a government that was specifically intended to prevent corrupt and evil people from doing exactly what they have done, consolidating all the power under one central authority. We're no longer a federation. We're a nation. We no longer have independent states. We have we have states that act like counties. You no longer have an independent presidency. It's controlled by the judiciary. You no longer have a Congress. Congress doesn't do its job, hasn't done its job in decades. When's the last time you saw a budget? So the Congress folded up underneath the executive, which is now controlled by the judiciary, which is exactly what Jefferson told us would happen. Everything the anti-federalists told us was going to happen has happened. They have destroyed the Bill of Rights. They have destroyed individual rights and liberty, all in the name of whatever: equality, democracy, preventing racism, all in the name of lies, myths, and all for the pursuit of what? Power. They promise you the world. They deliver nothing but pain and suffering every single time. The Prince, Messiah, Muhammad, whatever, Mahdi, whatever the freak that Islamic mayor of New York City is now begging the governor of New York for money because he's already bankrupt the city. Who could have seen that one coming? If you vote for these people because they promise to give you something thinking you're actually going to get it, just tattoo the L on your head so we all know you're a loser. If you can't learn from the history of socialism by now, jeez Louise. Well, it works in Finland, and they're not socialist. They're a welfare, capitalistic welfare society. All of Europe is. That's why it still semi-functions. Semi. If you're paying attention to the nuts and bolts and the details, the reason you're having all these wars and that they're perpetuating them in Ukraine and now with Iran and everything, that's how you hide the fact that your nation is collapsing. You go to war. That redirects the people's focus. The entire West is collapsing by design. It's collapsing under the weight of its social welfare programs and its intentional immigration. A flood of non-conforming people, mostly Muslims. The left, the deep state, in the whole Western world thinks it can control this. You are not going to control Islam. Islam has a long history. They've only been defeated twice, both times by Christians, diehard Christians. Well, they weren't defeated by the Crusaders, but they were beat out of Jerusalem for a little while. They were stopped at Tours by a rabble of farmers armed with pitchforks and hoes, and they were stopped at Constantinople. Well, sort of, kind of. But the people who stopped them there, the descendants of the Scythians, the northern kingdom of Israel. The people who stopped them at Tours, the descendants of the northern kingdom of Israel. In the diaspora. If you want to preserve any semblance of liberty for the individual, freedom for the individual in this world, you're going to have to realize that the Republican Party is part of the deep state, has been all along. I didn't realize that. Far too late. We should have all rallied around Ross Perot. But Rush told us no, because that you can't win the election. Who cares? We had time back then to lose a few elections while we built a true opposition party. But we didn't do it. The only other opportunity we've had was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was rich enough. If he was the patriot he claims himself to be, he would have spent all of his wealth to create a true opposition party. He has not done that. Say, well, Joe, all we got to do is elect enough Republicans and we can take over the Republican Party. No, you can't. Yes, we can. No, you can't. You cannot take over a corporation by inserting employees. What? The Republican Party is a corporation. Nobody has done anything to the corporate heads. Well, Trump's the leader of... No, he's not. No, he's the face of the GOP, but he is not the head of the RNC. He's not the head of the corporation. A private corporation, by the way. That's what you have to take over if you want to change the Republican Party. Comment on the board from Natasha. It says, has anything been done with Dodge's findings? No. In fact, all of that funding was restored by Republicans. Senate leader just said, we're not going to have the FAIR Act, the SAVE Act, whatever, secure our elections, and we're not going to stop central digital bank currency. We're going to let that go forward. Folks, that's the New World Order. He's allowing this. The Republicans are not our savior. They're not going to help. They're not going to do this. They never have. They were never going to do this. Ever since that old lady accused Rush of being a plant meant to keep patriots on the Republican reservation, I've been red-pilled. That's when I started to distrust Rush Limbaugh. That's when I started realizing the truth. Who can fight the beast? Government. But the beast is aligned with Islam. You're looking for a single person known as the Antichrist. That passage in Daniel is talking about worldly kingdoms. And there are princes, spiritual powers over each of those kingdoms. There's a prince of Persia, prince of Greece, and the prince who is to come. Rome. No. It's not Rome. Never was. The people assumed it was Rome because that was the enemy at the time. But Rome was just a continuation of Greece. You have to go learn secular history to see this. Greece was never fully eradicated. It split into 4 parts. One of those parts was Rome. The other part was what we now know as the Byzantine Empire, but that was Greece, the old Greece, Alexander's Greece, never went away and never fully fell under the Roman Empire either. It was considered the eastern part of the Roman Empire and left on its own. Why? Because Rome probably couldn't have defeated the Byzantines. So they just incorporated them. So who is this 4th empire? And who is this prince to come that everybody thinks is the Antichrist? The prince who is going to try to change the times and the Torah. I don't know. I'm leaning heavily toward Islam. Could just as easily be Christianity. I know what people think when I say that. I don't mean those who believe in the Messiah, Yeshua. I mean those who believe in the religion known as Christianity. It is the mirror opposite of the religion known as Orthodox Judaism or Reformed Judaism. Neither follow the teachings and commandments of the Messiah in the Bible. They both teach perversions of what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to do it. So they're a form of apostasy because the Christians have invented a new Jesus and a new gospel, just like we're told to watch for from another Christ. That's a more accurate way to translate Antichristos, which is a Latin version of the Greek word. The Greek word basically means another. Well, they've created a different Yahweh in Orthodox Judaism because they've accepted, that Yahweh said, you will not do these things. They do them anyway. So your 4th beast could be that, could be Islam, could be a union of the two. I don't know. I just know that it is anything and everything that opposes the true God, the true Elohim, the true creator of the universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is not Allah. Allah is the God of Ishmael. I know that. I've traced it. I've done the homework. He's not no. And I know they'll tell me Allah is just Arabic for Elohim, for God. No, it isn't. It's even spelt different. So, what are we going to do with all of this? Prepare to live, if you're a believer, prepare to live as a 1st century believer under a hostile country, government like Rome. prepare for persecution. If you're not a Christian, prepare to become a Muslim or to die. It's pretty much going to be your options. It's just a matter of time. Curiously, on a side note, before we sign off, I was watching Steve Dace, and he was explaining that he asked Grok, gave it some promptings, and asked Grok, when do you think the Messiah is going to return? And Grok said sometime between 2037 and 2049. And I literally stopped and turned around and stared at the screen when I heard 2037. Because that's a year I've had in my head for a long time. There's reasons for it. I don't know for sure. It's a period of time, really, that I'm thinking. But there are biblical reasons that I'm watching that year. We're not going to make it to 2049. There won't be humanity left by then. I think 2037 might be pushing it quite a ways. We'll see. We'll see. I bring it up just for this reason. I know the spiritual times we're in. And the more I watch the world, the more convinced I become that the Bible is exactly what it claims to be. And that if I have a choice between it and anything else in this world, I'm going with it. I'm going to align myself with that team. You got to make your own decision. I'm Team Yahweh and his champion, the Messiah, warrior, king, and prince, Yeshua Messiah. Charlie, before I get us out of here, you got anything you want to say?
No, I love this show. This is one of my favorite shows ever.
Are you being facetious again?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I didn't bring you back to a happier place at the end of the show like I promised?
Well, if it were 2036 instead of 2026, it might be, but
got a little bit of road trip to go through before you get to the destination.
Yeah.
You can find the DeLorean and
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah.
So, Natasha, are you done yet?
Yeah.
Done with you guys? Pretty much.
No, done with your project.
Yes.
That's a no. People stay on her. She's going to be
Yep.
taken off for the next few days. So
Yeah, spending quality time with family.
Right.
perfect
and while
time
she's
to be doing your
traveling in the
project.
car. If she's not driving, she can be creating.
I
And
have to play
heaven
GTA.
knows that when I've got to be alone with my family, I definitely want something to do that keeps me off to the side by myself. So what you're saying is when you come back, you'll be done with your project?
Probably not.
You're not going to do it, are you? People, I'm telling you, if you're in the audience, you keep hounding her until she gets this done. Just keep asking her, are you done yet, Natasha? Did you finish? Get her done. That's right, Sailor Son. Get her done.
Ain't son supposed to be getting in detention?
We're gonna rename you Cable Girl. Natasha the Cable Girl.
How many names are y'all going to give me anyway?
Well, get her done. Or we could call you Larry the Cable Girl.
Would it be more like Lorraine?
No, just Larry. We'll even change your pronouns.
Oh, no. No. No.
Okay. Well, Sadie's up here, but she won't come see me. Come here, Sadie. Come here, Sadie. Come here. Well, well. I thought I could introduce Sadie to everybody before we sign off, but she doesn't. She's not going to come see me. Come here, Sadie.
Nope. Forget it. It's not going to happen. She took off.
She's like, forget it.
Yep. All right, folks, let's get out of
She's
here.
camera shy.
No, she's too worried about her sister. We appreciate you all joining us. Thank you for your time. I know it's not the happiest joy show that I've ever done. It's kind of a Debbie Downer. I'm starting to sound like Jeremiah. All I ever do is warm about doom and gloom. But it is what it is. We like to face the monster right in the eyeballs around here. Prepare for it. That way you don't get caught by surprise when this actually happens. I don't say if, I'm saying when, because it's gonna. And we're already where I told everybody in 2012 we were going to be. We're there. We haven't missed. We're following the pattern. I don't know the timelines, but we're following the pattern of Germany, 1920s, 1930s. We are lockstep. All we're looking for now is they tried to make January 6th into the Reichstag moment. They're looking for another Reichstag moment. In other words, a crisis that they can use to declare, to suspend the Constitution and just take over. That's what they're looking for. And to get rid of all opposition. Okay? Well, that's what I just showed you. The Democratic Party is telling you they're going to establish one-party rule the next time they seize power. That's what they've told you. So prepare for it. Honor the threat. If it doesn't happen, praise Yahweh. But honor the threat, because that's what these people want. That's what they're working for. So be ready for it. And when people tell you, whatever, all the talking heads, just keep voting GOP. You keep fornicating for chastity and wait and see how whether or not, you end up with a baby. Say, but I can't have a baby. I can't be pregnant. I'm chaste. I don't have. You keep using these words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean. You must be a progressive. I'm starting to lose it. And I haven't even had anything to drink other than soda. Anyhow, y'all take care. Stay safe. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Scepter and the Birthright. Bye-bye.